Liver King really was living the ancestral life, he might not have given it too much thought as far as what's popular, what's this. Because when you're living that life, you start feeling what's natural.
You can't live that life if you own land, by the way. Literally, tribal ancestors who ate like this didn't own land, which is why they didn't have monogamy. Because they didn't have to inherit land to their children. They didn't need to be sure who was their children. Polygamy. This is what evolutionary psychologists think.
So, Liver King is missing polygamy.
Well, either way, we didn't start farming at least. There is some people who think it was earlier, but the expansion of farming was mainly, I think, 4,000 years before present. Sometimes in these thousands of years, I make some mistake. It could be, I don't think it's 4,000 years BC, but it's 4,000 years before present. Very interestingly, about the same time that Judaism developed among the Semites. That's what's confusing me. I thought it was earlier than that. But the expansion seems to have occurred around that time. So farming spread about and people stopped owning land and controlling it for themselves and had to control inner society. And he does none of that. The main elements that stopped us from being ancestral does it without making vegetables. He owns land, controls the land, owns a big house. This would never happen unless he was like the head of a tribe, and it wouldn't be like that. He wouldn't own the land. It's still communal. It's somewhat. So my point is, there's nothing. It's not integral in the ways he doesn't like. It's integral in the hip ways that are commercial. It's not. And also, this part's hip. To own land and show this big property you own makes you more viewers. Also, it's very hip. Also, the commonality is hipness, if anything. Trendy, like rich hip people that like to microdose usually mushrooms. And he does once a week mushrooms too. He literally, so I do think he was thinking, hip guys listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, listen to Ron Patrick, listen to Peter Attia, because they're hip about what's hip and what's new. And they usually will not get to a fundamental understanding of the thing, not like a researcher would. Or someone who researches. I'm not a researcher, but I'm someone who researches or reads. Just reading academic articles would make him know that this high protein diet is not good for most people long term. And you have to mention this constantly, or that hypervitaminosis A is a real thing. You can't eat a pound of liver a day and be healthy. He would know these things. And he would certainly know that the growth hormone at that dose may cause death in the mid-40s like acromegalics. It's not exactly what they produce, but with the growth hormone secretagogues, it's really similar in general across the process. So, and we've seen bodybuilders develop acromegaly. We saw, God rest his soul, huge bodybuilder from Texas, Dallas McCarver, his nose widened by like such an amount in 2 years. You can see it on my saved Instagram stories. It's called mTOR nose. So you can see acromegaly happening in people that can't grow taller. Literally acromegaly happening on bodybuilder doses, slightly higher than Liver King without the growth hormone secretagogues, maybe similar overall. So this guy's literally acting like an acromegalic, saying he's going to live a better lifestyle when he's 40 or so. And he should be dying on average, if he was acromegalic, about 6 to 7 years later, like bodybuilders do. I believe the reason bodybuilders die so young, they died much older when they ate less and when they took steroids. When they started growth hormone insulin, they started dying very young. Insulin is a prime driver of cancers, but they're usually not dying of cancer. They're usually dying of heart disease, which is how giants die. That's how the giants die. So that's my point. If you don't know things in detail and you don't really understand what you're doing, you may not understand the weight of the harm you're doing either. So you may not want to take someone's advice if they create acronyms, especially for a serious subject that they're trying to dodge, like PEDs. Now, Tony creates marketing things because he finds it fun. Tony has an exhibitionist lifestyle. He likes to show his life and he likes to make it fun, and he is like gifted in marketing naturally. But he tries out all the things on himself, which Liver King does also, but you don't lie. You literally don't lie. Some people think you lie, you don't lie. Everything he says, he believes. So I don't agree with some of the things he believes. I would tell you, if you told Tony your priorities, and he knew they were different than his, and you always ask for his priorities with his coaching clients, then he would give you a reasonable approach to doing that. You know what I mean? And I don't even think,
those wouldn't be interesting case studies to promote, like if the results aren't very impressive because someone's taking such a cautious approach. So you hear more of the exaggerated things.
But the most exaggerated,
not exaggerated, talk about the more extreme.
Like he'll talk about transsexuals more often than he sees them. But he sees them. It's not a false story. He believes that people should be okay with it, and he believes what he's doing is in the public favor. You know what I mean? There's no element of a lie. I don't think anyone would have been as critical. I wasn't critical on the Liver. I didn't make a video about him until there was a lie. Even though I didn't make a video about Carnivore MD either until I saw his action with the Liver King. Because you can give bad advice and potentially be mistaken, but you can't lie in that kind of way and always be mistaken. You're doing something tricky to win favor, and winning favor when giving bad advice is bad.
My goal is to help people out of the closet, whether it's help them out of the natty closet, the sexual kinky closet.
Yeah, it's true.
Just like whatever it
He
is,
likes
like
people to be exhibitionists.
discover yourself and be yourself, and then be proud of it, so that other people who are also in the closet can also feel more comfortable to come out.
And we mentioned on the last video that we're doing multiple videos. It's relevant, I think, and it's a good discussion. And also people are interested in it. But Rich Piana did not lie about his lifestyle, to our knowledge. I've known many people who knew the only thing. That's not totally true. So the only thing is, in California, Rich Piana had a reputation of being a snitch, but he didn't have any evidence of that happening, to my knowledge. And I always researched this stuff. Boston also had that reputation. It was not true. I investigated with him, knew the details, knew what was misunderstood, and I was okay with it. But Rich, I never investigated, except slightly, just asking some of these people. I didn't know Rich, so I couldn't ask him myself. But the people I talked to never voiced anything that was specific. It was just he never got caught. So Rich, if you don't know, he's passed away, was, I think, the major steroid dealer of Southern California. He's like the guy who supplied the suppliers. And he was doing this into his YouTube career, for sure. And he was sending also gifts to people of growth hormone kits and stuff like that, because he had a very good network among HIV patients in the early 2000s. I don't know if that's where he continued, but he was a major steroid supplier. That's where he bought his used cars from, which were used luxurious cars to look more expensive than they are. So there was some element of that there. The only element that's there is if he snitched, and the used car thing is a little bit, but that's not lying. You're buying an older Bentley, but just not old enough to look old, so it looks like you bought it on time, so you look like and then you have 5 of them, so you look like you have a lot. It's getting more out of less money, which Tony also does, but with women. But he has a similar quality. But so there are some elements, but there's the lie element that's not there. It's like, I know I'm gonna lie to you and break your trust, because Tony actually loves his subscribers. I don't think you can lie to your subscribers and genuinely.
Well, the whole channel, the whole purpose, the whole movement, the reason why I did this was I wanted honesty, because I saw so much BS on YouTube and in the forums. The same reason why Derek and Kenny KO and
Derek and Kenny KO for sure. But there are some people who their best way to make money in life was to go on YouTube. I did not know this before I went on YouTube. I mean, obviously there are some very successful people. There are some people not very successful. That's their best way to make income, and it's very serious. Like, I'll tell you somebody, I think as an example, but there are people that I'm sure that their main priority, what I'm talking about, main priority is financial stuff, and that's his main way to make money. So there are people like that, and that's just one Tony knows. I know a lot of people like that. So Tony, just to mention, I don't think you would mind me mentioning this. Tony, probably, I don't know your legal career, but even without your legal career, you probably could have just done investments and lived, an equal lifestyle to now. And that's good.
I think I could have done anything. I think
you could have also, if you
you're smart.
but
if you're smart, you can do pretty much anything and be
you could have, but you like this and you were passionate about it, and it's not liking, I think, the influence, but liking the community and paving the way for people to be more open. He literally cares that much about drug prohibition, censorship, these kind of things, and also loves chemical enhancement and saw it as improving life so much later in life, and doesn't want people to. He believes in these things. He might believe in them too, but he knows he's lying to get them. So it's different, and it's the exact opposite of the lie you're doing. You get hate because you admit too much steroid use, whereas a lot of other people are lying, and they say they're not lying.
I want to know.